Hey everybody, I'm Stacy with New Creations by Stacy. I'm a Dixie Belle retailer here in Madison, Alabama. I'm just going to give it a second for some people to jump on. I also had an issue going live on Monday where it showed I was live, but then it actually never broadcasted. So I'm going to go ahead and log in over here just to make sure. So if you are on and watching, please just say, hey, where you're watching from. Just let me know that you can see and that I'm live, please. So I do see some people popping on. Give me just a sec here. So hopefully I am live. Let me just take a look to make sure I can see comments. Hey, Lynn. Okay, perfect. So, all right, fantastic. I've got it here. So today, well, actually, Dixie Belle, let me talk about some other things first. Dixie Belle is here with us. So they'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. Again, I'm Stacy with New Creations by Stacy. So if you are local, definitely stop in and see us at Blue by JD Vintage Market in Madison, Alabama. Hey, Karen. So also in the link here, I have a product list of what we're going to be working with today, as well as there's an affiliate link. So if you're not local, you can find your retailer near you. I also have my affiliate link if you wanted to order any products, if you don't have a local retailer. And I have a link to my page as well. So if you guys have any questions that you think of later, definitely feel free to message me. And I also post pictures of the finished pieces that we work on live here. So I'm not seeing any comments coming up yet. I just want to let you guys know in case you are asking any questions. Just in case it doesn't work because of the technical difficulties I've been having, I will go back after the video and go through any comments and answer any questions that I may have missed as well. So I see some coming up here. I just, I'm not getting them down here, but that's okay. I'll try to watch up there. Hey, from New Jersey. It kind of scrolled through a little fast there, but so today, a couple things. Mainly, we're going to be focused on working with some of the new transfers, and we are going to do some layering with the lace transfer, which I love this transfer. I think it's my favorite. I just want to put it on everything. And then we're also not 100% solidified with this, so definitely happy to have any input. Hopefully I'll be able to see the comments. But these are two very different styles, but the coloring, and I'll pull them out and show you guys, but the cacti transfer, I want to kind of layer that over the lace. So that's primarily what we're going to be working on. But before I get to that, I want to talk about Boss and what I've already done to this piece, because this is really the perfect example and really something to watch out for, especially when you are working with transfers, because you can have bleed through transfers as well, and that's something you can't really fix. You have to start all the way over. So this piece here, this is actually an antique oak buffet sideboard. The hutch for it is not on here. And she's actually, this is a custom piece. She's just going to be, hopefully she's on watching. Hey, Donna, if you are. But, so she's just going to be using the bottom section. And I did quite a few repairs. I did clean it with white lightning. I did some sanding, stripped the top up here because I am going to go with one of the no pain gel stains. I do have a little bit more repair work to do on the drawers. I filled quite a few cracks in the wood as well with Dixie mud. And Dixie mud is fantastic for that. I definitely recommend that over wood fillers. I even did one on the top, which I'll be staining. And it doesn't stain exactly like wood, but I feel like Dixie mud works the best to put the no pain gel stain over, as opposed to any of the other wood fillers. So then once that was all done, oak is usually a bleeder anyway, and we're actually going with a very light color. It's actually a custom mix. So you can see this was the stick she gave me to match the color, and this is just the stick where I mixed it up here. So I'm going with the light color. I want to make sure that I'm not going to have any bleed through, especially with oak. And this actually bleeds more than this piece. I think because it's so old and the original finish was more worn, it's a really heavy bleeder, even for oak. So I did do 2 coats of Boss on it in white. And it's an odor blocker, stain blocker. It'll block like felt tip markers from showing through, all that good stuff. But this is blocking the tannins in the wood. So you can see these drawers. This only has 1 coat of Boss on it. And this yellowing that you're seeing here kind of looks really dirty still. That is actually the bleed through from the tannins in the wood coming through. So if I painted this piece, this would all show through. It would look so dirty and just nasty. So want to make sure that you block anything from showing through if you have a bleeder piece and you're going with a light color. So once I put a second coat of Boss, everything else has a second coat of Boss on here, and you can see the difference between that yellowing and this right here. So if I painted this purple, this dirty is going to come through, and then let's say I put my transfer over it, that dirty is still going to show through. So like I said, there's no fixing it. So it's really important that you prep your piece before you go through putting a transfer on and then have to redo everything. Because like I said, there's just not a repair for that. So what we are doing today with the transfers, and I'm going to bring you around, I've got the inside here painted in this, it's kind of like a lilac color. Kind of an odd mixed, but I started out with Lucky Lavender, put some cotton in it, and then it's still, the base of this color is a little bit more blue. So I added some Savannah Mist, but that kind of lightened it up way too much. So I went back in and added some Vintage Ducky again. I didn't measure anything, so I would say it's probably 3 to 4 parts cotton to 1 part of Lucky Lavender, which is this really much brighter purple color. Lucky Lavender, and then probably about 3 or 4 spoonfuls of both Savannah Mist and Vintage Duck Egg up here. So that's how I got this color. I did put a little bit of cotton highlights straight in the middle, just to give it a little bit of dimension. This is a really textured piece, really old oak. So I did, oh, I forgot what I was saying here. Oh, I am going to need to either do some wax or some, I need to make it work it in once I get done. I'm not quite certain if I'm going to distress it or not yet, but I'll kind of let this piece, it's going to be a work in progress. I don't have it ironed out in my mind, 100%. So we're going to start because the background is going to be the lace transfer, and this is it again. The lace comes in 4 sheets with all the transfers. They either, oh hey, Anne from the UK. I am seeing some comments. They're just, I'm just not quite seeing all of them. I wish I could interact a little bit more. So this is a portion of the transfer, so you can kind of see it close up. So this transfer, it is actually gray lace, but the interesting thing about it is depending on what color you put it on, to me, it kind of changes or looks a little different. So I love this transfer. They are meant to go together so you can, you know, layer them up. So all of the sheets are numbered. So you've got like 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. So this is about 13 by 13. I am going to have to kind of layer it together a little bit. It's not quite long enough to cover this whole midsection in here. So I'm going to go ahead and first just lay this out so I can see kind of how it goes together and make sure. Some of them go together from the sides here. Yep, and that's this one. So I'm actually going to need section 1 and 3 here to get started. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to ask. Oh, I know, me too. I think Amber said she loved the lace transfer. It is definitely my favorite. I want to use it on everything. All right, perfect. So I can see these two line up. Let me see if I can hold it up so you can guys see. And actually, I'm going to bring you around and pop you down so you can see everything I'm doing even before I get started. So you can kind of see how it lines up there. And this is 1 and 3. All right, so let me swing you around first before I go any further. So you can have a really, and this way I won't be blocking either once I get working on here. All right, and then let me just pop you down. All right, there we go. So you should have a pretty, hopefully a pretty good view. Let's see, and I said 1 and 3, so let me just move the rest of these kind of out of the way. So we're gonna start off with 1, because I'll start from the top down here. And I cannot cut a straight line to save my life. So I've actually got one of these cutters here, and they really work well on the transfers when you're just trimming them down. So I know I need to go, let's see. I'm going to give this a score mark too. And all I'm going to do is use my my fingernail to run along the edge there so I can kind of see where I need to cut it. And then let me run it in this way. So it's going to be about right here. I might have to be quiet while I'm doing this just so I can make sure. I'm going to tell you, I'm never perfect, but there's always ways to cover up your mistakes with the transfers too. So that's really helpful. I'm just going to kind of, let's see here. So it's a little bit longer. This only goes to 12 inches. So it's really hard for me to kind of identify and make sure where I'm at. And let's see. So let's see here. So that's actually about just right. I might have a little bit of an overlap, but I'm okay with that. Let's see. Just want to make sure I get it as straight as possible. I think I still went a little bit crooked, but that trusts me better than if I would have been cutting it with scissors. So let's just make sure that this is, so over on this side, you've got a little border. So of course I don't want to figure that in. I'm just going to overlap it a little bit. So I've got it slightly too wide, but that's okay because this door goes in. I'll just fold it around that corner if I have too much, and we'll be all set. I will say one other thing too. These transfers are really easy to go around corners and to do all of that, but this is very textured. I've got a lot of wood grain in here. So when I put this on, it's probably going to take me a little bit longer than if I had a nice smooth piece that had a factory finish. So we're going to go ahead and take this off. So now what you've got here is it comes in 2 parts. You've got your back that's kind of really slick so that you don't have to worry about the transfer sticking to it. This is your design. You don't want to touch this design. If you do, you can damage it really easy. It can stick to your fingers. It can fold over on itself. That would damage it as well. So you want to be careful with that. One thing I can say about these new Dixie Belle transfers that I really like in comparison to some other ones is I can lay this down and line it up. And a lot of transfers, like if I get it stuck somewhere, and so now I could take this up here too, but I normally don't do that. But so I've kind of pushed it down. Let me see if I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. So it's there. If this was some of the other transfers that I've used, if I did this, I could not pull this back off because my transfer end spots may stick to my paint. And by the way, these transfers go directly on paint. That's how they're going to stick the best, or the easiest, I should say. You can put them over like a flat clear coat or something like that, but in my experience, it works. You just want to give it time to really get good and dry. Same with your paint. So now what I can do, let's say this was placed wrong. I can pull this off. Oh, I just stuck my finger on there. But I can pull that off and I cannot damage my transfer. So that's a really nice feature about these Dixie Belle transfers. So let me go ahead and get it placed again. Let's see here. I just want to make sure it's straight and my hand is a little shaky on this side. So I've got it relatively straight on that side. Let's go ahead and put it up here. So I'm going to go ahead and push it down there. So now with the transfers, you do want to work, you want to work in one direction. So I either want to go like down or I want to go across, but I don't want to usually like switch directions and go all over the place because you can end up with like a little bubble or something like that, which you can fix that. You just want to burnish it down really good at the end, but it'll create a fold. So it's noticeable if you do that. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and attach this since I'm not taping it down. I'm just going to kind of make sure I've got the layout good. So the transfers they come in the tube. I had already opened this one, but it comes with a wooden transfer stick to apply it with, to rub it down. And it also comes with directions, and it gives you some helpful tips over here as far as how to use the transfers and different things like that. And of course, there's so many amazing artists, lots of live videos you can watch as well to find out different techniques, all that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start rubbing my transfer down. What I'm doing is I want this to release onto my piece, and I've got some like grooves in here from the wood. I want to make sure that this is really attached well everywhere, and inside all these grooves. You don't want any pockets under the transfer or any moisture under the transfer either. So that's one of the reasons you want to make sure that your paint is nice and dry. And I'm actually going to go ahead and fold this over here so I can just get that edge to release off. Okay. And this is one larger piece. I'm just going to go over it, rub it all down. Like I said, I'm going to continuously just keep traveling down. I don't want to start at the bottom now and then rub up. That's where I could run into the issue with getting a bubble or something like that. Even if your furniture appears extremely flat, it's still, it's generally not. So, actually pushing my piece backwards because it's on the rollers, and I'm just gonna get it all on here. And these Dixie Belle transfers do release really well. All right, so now let me go ahead and go over here and get my corner. Really, I probably should have taken some scissors and just cut this off because these edges are really, really rough. And let me see, let me grab my scissors. And I'm just gonna kind of cut this up the side. And you want to be careful doing this because you don't, I've rubbed this down and I don't want to damage the transfer. And it's kind of an awkward spot that I'm trying to cut up here. Let me go ahead and see if I can, as soon as I get this side to release, then I'll go ahead and start pulling this off. And hopefully you can still see perfect. Another reason you want your paint to be nice and hardened, you don't want it to be too fresh, is because sometimes with these little sticks, you can nick your paint when you're trying to rub. And you know, if it's really, really fresh, you may end up having to go back and do some repairs there. All right, so once you've got it rubbed on, you can start pulling it back. I usually try to start on just one side. Perfect. So once it's released and you get that initial edge off, it's usually easier when we start going down for it to release. And you can also rub while you're peeling. I'm going to start over from this side and get this side off so I can just go straight down here. And these transfers, you can distress them. You can wax over them. You do want to add a protectant too once you get them on. And you can use the Dixie Belle Besting Wax. You do not want to use an oil-based product with the transfers. Or you can also use a clear coat to protect over them. You do want to avoid gator hide. If it's a situation in which you really need to use gator hide, and I haven't done it with these particular transfers, but there's something in gator hide that just doesn't react well with the transfers. But you can put like a couple coats of like either flat or satin or whatever you want to over it. And then you can put the gator hide on top of that because that clear coat is creating a barrier so your gator hide isn't interacting with your transfer. And the reason that you don't put gator hide over it is because over time, I'm not sure why, but the gator hide, I've had some that I've done like just gator hide straight on top of it. When I started using transfers, didn't have a problem. But over time, you can have them start to peel. So you definitely want to make sure that you do not use any oil-based protectant or gator hide over the transfer. Okay, so we've got it pretty well released. And what I'm doing while I'm pulling off, and hopefully you guys can see this, see how it's much lighter here than down here where I've already got it to release? What I'm doing while I'm peeling this off, I'm actually watching to be sure that everything has released, and then I'm not getting just a little section that's still stuck to this backing. And like I said, these, a larger piece of the transfer, they do take a little bit longer. And this piece actually is going to just take longer because of all the grain in the wood. This is just so textured. There's so many areas to get into. Also with the lace transfer, there's a lot more points that, it's not like one solid piece. You've got all these little dots and they're their own little sections. So once we start doing the succulents, I expect those to release a lot easier because it's one big picture. This is actually a lot of smaller areas with this lace transfer, but oh, it's gorgeous. It's so worth it. And I just feel like in my head, I think that the grunge gray wax would look gorgeous with this black wax. Kind of still trying to decide how I want to shade this piece a little bit. Let me just see. Hey, Sally. So one thing that I like to do, and I'm going to try it here, and this is, I've got all of this top section released. So you want to be careful doing it this way, but one little trick, sometimes you can get that release section to work in your favor by rubbing, if you can get a little air bubble under there, and it's not working right now, but like when you're pulling back, if you can get a little air bubble under there, you can actually use that motion to help it automatically release. I'll see if I can get it to work here once I've got a little bit more down. Really trying to get, this is where I filled that split, and it's kind of in between where the wood planks are, and I'm really trying to really get in there well, and get this really stuck down. Oh, there we go. I've got some of it coming off on this side. And I don't have to worry now. I can start going really from any direction at this point because I've got everything rubbed down and it's straight across. So I'm going to see if maybe I can I've got quite a bit released over here. Let's see if I can get that air bubble going this way. Perfect. So do you guys hear that sound? Right there. It's like a little, sounds like a plastic. What's happening is you can see I'm getting a little air bubble. And I'm going down, and that air bubble is actually helping that plastic pull right off and for this to separate. And once you can start getting that going, it usually goes much faster. If I can get this whole side off, I can go over that way. You know, when I'm on a live video, these always seem like they take so long, but it's really not as long as it seems like. In the meantime, let me see if I can. So I haven't seen any questions yet. I'm really glad Dixie Belle's here since I don't have the comments coming up. probably should have, this is, let's see here. So what I'm doing, the reason I'm doing it this way, if you can hear that, there we go, perfect. You can hear how it's coming off. I'm getting that little air bubble under there. It's really makes it go a little faster. There we go, perfect. So I'm thinking you can see, yeah, a little bit. You can see where it lightens up so you can tell what has already released and what you're still working on there. So let's see if I can catch a couple air bubbles going this way. What I'm watching for while I'm peeling this off is to make sure that I don't have any little, so like right down here, actually, I usually like to have my readers on so I can see a little bit better. There we go. So you hear how it's doing that little bubble up thing? That's just catching that little air bubble so it'll separate a little bit more. I'm a little better at catching these air bubbles, but there we go. Trying to make sure, I have a tendency to put my head in front of the camera. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not doing that too much. All right, so we are moving along here. Almost got it. This is one of those transfers too that just looks good so many different ways. You just stress it. There we go, perfect. So let me see how much I have left that's actually attached. Not much. I'm a little extra careful with this particular transfer too, because this is so subtle on this color, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes what I have released and what, just got one little section here. And I always try to be extra careful when I take off that last little spot. It's easy sometimes to, oh, well actually I have one more little spot right here. It's easy sometimes when you're taking off that last spot to kind of pull up the transfer with you, but there we go. So this is the lace transfer on here. So once you get the transfer on, you may have some spots that are not completely secured, and even if they look secured, you want to make sure they're nice and burnished. So to do that, normally I first start just with my finger, and I kind of go over them, just try to make sure that it's pushed down and all the spots. Not too much pressure, because you can, you know, they are kind of fragile if they're not adhered. So I just kind of go over and try to make sure they're adhered that way. And then to ensure that they are burnished down, a little bit over here on that overhang, I want to get that excess off. So to make sure that they're burnished down, once you've got this, after you kind of just press it down with your finger, and this I forgot to get out, but I've got one right over here. To burnish it, you can actually use a few different things, and everyone has different methods. My favorite, or what I like to do the most, is to use a finishing pad. You can tell these are well used, but the Dixie Belle finishing pads, I prefer this, but you can also use, so we have the sanding sponge. You can use the soft side of the sanding sponge and just kind of, you know, rub it over. You can do it that way. You know, same thing with the rad pads. They have that soft, spongy side. You just want to make sure that that's what you're using. You don't want to, if you don't want to distress it, and even if you do distress it, I like to use, let's put my lace transfer on. Should be getting the lace silkscreen stencil soon. Oh, yeah. I had the hardest time. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to use stencils and then layer transfers over them, or it just says so many options. So many amazing things you can create. And that is the nice thing too about the Dixie Belle transfers. They come in pieces, so you can really make your own unique designs with them. So I'm just lightly rubbing this down, kind of rubbing with the grain of the wood here a little bit, just to make sure it's nice and in all those grooves. And I usually start off with just a little bit of pressure, and then I get a little bit heavier. I go over it a second time, a little bit heavier. And the reason I start with just a little bit of pressure is if there is a spot that isn't adhered well, I put too much pressure on it, I can actually pull that up a little bit. So you just want to burnish it down, make sure it's nice and good. All right, perfect. So the only thing here is I realize this wood is actually crooked. There's a few crooked spots, but I think once we layer in the other transfers, that'll be just, you won't even notice that. So now we need to go ahead and fit, actually it's 240. I will do this part later. I do want to do a little bit of layering and show you the cacti transfer. I really wanted to put it down in this corner. Actually, I could really still do that. I might still do that. I don't know. Let me look at it and we'll see what we can do. Because when you apply a transfer over a transfer, sometimes it's a little bit different. But this is the succulent and cacti transfer. And while this doesn't go with the lace necessarily, it's definitely two different styles. I think I can pull it together and make it work, because look at these succulents down here. This is the perfect color. I mean, these are the perfect color for this piece. So I've got quite a few of those. I kind of wanted to layer them in, you know, with a little bit of greenery. Just put that kind of in the corner, like right, really wanted to do it right down there. Could go top and bottom. So let me go ahead and cut these out, which I use scissors if I'm not trying to cut the straight line like I was for this. So let's take a couple of these here. I really kind of want to stick with, you know, I may go in later and cut some out of this border. Because that's another thing. So you've got all of these here that you can layer together that are all in their own individual pieces. But let's say you don't want that green stripe there or whatever. You can just cut out this flower right here, cut everything out, and you can layer that right in. So you can really even make your own designs in these pieces that are just all one section too. So let's see here. I really want to put this down here, but I know we don't have time to layer in. Yeah, we definitely don't have time. So actually let me see what I want to do here. I want to put a smaller one on though, because it's so easy. The release is so easy. Tell you what does that look like here? Let's see. What do you guys think? I actually kind of like that. That's not bad up in the corner here. I haven't seen Donna. Oh no. Oh, hey nature, how are you? Oh, so this is actually a custom mix color, and on my page I'm gonna do a live painting this as well. But it is Savannah Mist, Vintage Duck Egg, Cotton, and Lucky Lavender. And it's just it's the perfect color for this. So I think I'm just going to put this on right here. We're going to layer over that lace. Might actually do a little thing to bring it around. I don't know, but I do like this right here. And I like this. I was thinking they were two different styles. I was thinking I was going to have trouble working these together. But I think with the greenery, I'll layer some greenery into. I think it's going to work out perfect. And you know, the outside's going to be kind of plain. And I am adding some wood you bend on it. Because there's some missing trim and a few other things. So I am just laying this out here. And see, don't do as I do. I literally just said, this is a small one, but I just said, you know, work in one direction, and I just went all the way around the outside and came to the middle. I don't really worry about it too much with the smaller transfers because they're generally really easy and quick to apply. You know, easier to lay out the whole 9 yards, the smaller sections. So let's see if we are ready to pop this one off yet. So just get that part down. And it is really, when you're working with textured wood, not necessarily texture that you've added, textured wood though is a little bit different. It's always a little more to make sure you get into all those little grooves. It's coming off pretty well here. And I'm trying to hurry along. Probably got 5 minutes at the most. So while I'm finishing this up so you can see the end, again, in the description, I have my affiliate link, which you can use to find your local retailer or purchase any of the products through there. I also have my Facebook page listed if you want to watch the live when this is painted. And I may actually just pop over there in a second. Let's see here. You know, once these transfers start releasing, they release so much easier. And this is that last little section, so I always like to rub that in and kind of let it release itself a little bit. And there we go. So, oh, I'm loving that. So I'm actually going to layer these succulents up, so it'll be more like a bouquet. But that's it, working with the transfers. I will rub this and burnish it in a little bit as soon as we get off here. But if you guys, like I said, I'm so sorry about the comments. I'll go back. If there were any questions I missed, I'll definitely answer those. You can follow me on my Facebook page. There's a link there in the description. Thank you so much for hanging out, and you guys have an awesome day. Take care. Oh, thank you, Victoria. Thanks. And actually, you know what? Before I go, let me bring you in. I didn't even think about that, so you can kind of get a close-up of how that looks layered and the colors there. You can kind of see. Well, let me just take you off. There we go. So you can really see how good that gray looks over the purple and how well that succulent goes with this color. I love it. I'm gonna have to paint something else this color. But thank you guys so much again for hanging out, and take care. Have a great day.